Hello! So we're going to have a creative video today, and as I'm sure you're all aware, Halloween is coming up quite soon, and so I'm going to show you how I made these little pumpkin pom-poms. So you can see the little pumpkin face there, and here's a bigger one, and this is the one I'm going to show you today, how I made that one. There you go. So, what will you need? You will need some cardboard. Here I'm using an old tissue box, but any thin cardboard will do. You're going to need some wool, and so I'm using black and orange. You also need some green wool or ribbon. I'm going to use some ribbon today. You'll need circular things to draw around for your templates. I'm using a multivitamins pot and a 5p piece. You'll need a pen. You'll need some scissors, and if you want to put some little leaves on top like mine, you'll need a piece of plastic flour to pull apart. And you're also going to need a darning needle or a small crochet hook. So what I would say before we start is you are probably going to need an adult to help you with some of this. So don't get playing about with scissors and cutting your fingers off, because that, whilst it would be quite Halloweeny, is not ideal. So get an adult to help you with the scissors and cutting out, and probably with the pulling apart of the little leaves. If you are going to use little leaves, they normally pull apart quite easily, but especially if you've got little brothers or sisters around, these little plastic bits here can quite easily get swallowed, choked on, stuffed up people's noses and all sorts. So get an adult to help you with pulling that apart, and then throw these little bits in the bin. Okay, so first things first, you need to get your cardboard, and what we're going to do is make a donut shape or a bagel shape, depending on what you're using. So this is an empty pot. Don't get playing with tablets that aren't meant to be played with, please. Ask an adult for an empty pot. You can also use jars or small bottles. Depends on how big you want your pom-pom to be. So this tablet pot is what I used for making this one, and as you can see, it's about the same size as the pom-pom. These ones, however, I used the bottom of a paint pot. So I used a little pot of paint like that, and I did the dye using that. So it depends on how big a pom-pom you want to create, and of course this works for any pom-poms that you're trying to make. So we begin by drawing around our circular template. So I'll just do this on a hard surface, not on the furniture. There we go. So you just draw around onto the cardboard, and then we take our 5p piece, because what ideally you want is for the hole in the centre to be about a third of the width across. So if you see the space there, and the space there is roughly the same width as the 5p piece. So we place that in the centre and we draw around that. And there we have it. We have our donut. Okay, so what we want to do is cut around that, and this is where you may need an adult to either supervise or help or do it for you. I mean, it depends on how good you are at cutting circles. It's not vitally important that this is perfect, but it does help to get a more even pom-pom. So we just keep cutting around. There we go. Put that to one side. And then we need to cut out the middle. Now, if you've got an adult helping you, excellent, because this bit can be a bit tricky. Maybe get them to do it for you. If I could get someone else to do this for me, I would. So, the way I do it is I fold it in half, I snip in the middle, put the scissors in, and then cut around. Trying carefully not to rip it or chop your finger off or any such thing that would be detrimental to either our Pom Pom or ourselves. There we go. And there's one. And we need two of these. So I'm just going to take my cardboard again and draw around that one that we've made already. Now that helps to get two the same size. So when I'm using cardboard, even if it's scrap cardboard like packaging, like a cereal box or a tissue box, what I like to do is make sure that I work from an edge. So I could have put this in the middle, but if I'd put that in the middle, then I wouldn't have any scrap card to use for the next thing I want to make. So if you always work from an edge, it means that you'll always have plenty left over to use again for another project. So just a little tip to make things easier. And then again we cut around, or we get someone else to cut around it for us, and then hopefully we should have two donuts of cardboard the same size. Hopefully. There you go. So for every Pom Pom that you make, you will need two of these. There we go. And again, I'll just cut the middle out by folding it in half, snipping in the centre and cutting around. But yeah, so there we go. There's our two discs ready to start. So what you will need is either a crochet hook or, this is my little sewing kit, a darning needle. Now a darning needle, I don't know if it'll focus on this. Oh, focus on it. A darning needle is a very blunt needle. I don't recommend you try this yourself, but if you can see, it's very blunt on the end. Now that helps because we need to stitch the wool through the hole in the centre, but we don't need to pierce anything with it. So you're best off using a darning needle, or you can sometimes get those plastic children's loom needles. They're quite good for this. Or a small crochet hook. Just a small one, because you want to be able to pull the wool through the centre. So depending on what you've got at home, use what you've got and what's easiest for you. So we're going to start with some black wool. So I like to work with a piece about so long. That's about 1.5 foot, or what's that in centimetres? About 45 centimetres maybe. And so you want to get that and thread it onto your darning needle. The other advantage with a darning needle is they have very big holes. So hopefully, unless you've got extra chunky wool, which would make an amazing Pom Pom, hopefully you can thread your wool through there without any trouble. So then what we do is you take it through the hole, and we're using the black to create the face on our Pom Pom. So this point here is going to be the mouth of the Pom Pom. So we hold it like that with one finger and go through again. So you want to make sure that this little tail comes just past the edge of your card die that you've made. And then we hold it down again and we go back over. And this is what's going to secure the edge, the end of our wool. There you go. So we go through 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and 6 times. So that is going to be the middle point on our mouth of our pom-pom. That's going to be there. So then we want to go through again, but we want to bring it out slightly further round. So we're going to go here, because this bit is going to form the nose of our pom-pom. So we're going to go through there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, take the needle off, and now we're going to need some orange wool. So we take our orange wool and we cut off another piece, or we get someone to cut it for us, maybe. We take our cut end and we rethread our needle. So I'm going to start in between the mouth and the nose. So I'm going to pull it through and then go over. There we go. So what we want to do is fill in this space between the 2 black sections. So we just go around and around and around. There we go, like so. Then we move across, so like that at the back, and we go around and around and around, and we just keep going. We want to make sure that we get a nice solid layer. Now sometimes your wool will become untwisted like that. Just let it hang a little bit and it will retwist itself. Wool has a tendency of doing that. It likes to be twisted. There we go. And that's the end of that piece of wool. Okay, so put that down. I'll put the darning needle away for a little bit and I'll show you how I do it using a crocheting hook. So we cut ourselves another piece of wool. We hold that there against the end where we had the last piece finish, and then you just pull it through like that. Throw it over, put it through the hole and pull it down. Right over, pull it through. Over and through. Over and through. I'll probably speed this bit up. Now, once you've got a nice solid layer, so we've got our nose and our mouth and then the rest of the face. So as you can see there, look, there's the mouth, there's the nose. So now we've got one layer. We want to build up a little bit more on the mouth and nose and do a second layer of orange. So we go back to our black and we go 1, 2, 3, and then we bring it across. We go around to the mouth. There we go. And then we want to build up the orange again, but what we'll do this time is we'll take it around and we'll take it over the nose, because as you can see there, we've got orange running through between the nose and the eyes. Okay, so go back with the orange. So we jump over the mouth. So we leave the mouthpiece still black. Then we carry on this way. Oop, and that tail's come out. And we go up and we build our first layer. Oop, it's alive already. And we start building our first layer over the nose. So of course you will probably see some of the black through, because this is our first layer over the nose. And this isn't a perfect science. And each one that you do is going to look slightly different, because it's very hard to make two pom-poms with faces on look exactly the same, as you can see from my pile over there. And then we're going to stop when we get below the mouth again. There we go. And now we're going to need another piece of black wool. So we're going to start another layer on the mouth area, because what we want to create is a nice broad mouth. So we pull it through. And we don't need to worry about how this lies, if it's straight or not, because as everyone knows with a pumpkin, a nice set of wonky looking teeth is ideal. So we build up a nice layer of black there. Let's do one more. And then we carry on with the orange on the other side. And we take this again over the nose, and then we're going to stop just above the nose, and we're going to start forming the eyes of our pumpkin. So there we go. You can see we've just gone past the end of the nose, And so we bring the black across to there, and we're going to take this around probably about 5 or 6 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Then we're going to take the orange again, and we're going to carry on with the orange. So now all we're going to build up is orange, with the exception of the mouth, because the mouth, to make a nice broad smile, see, the mouth goes almost past the eyes. Okay. And this is exactly the same for the smaller ones. The difference is with the smaller ones, whereas for the nose I went through probably about 10 times and the eyes about 6. On the smaller ones you only really want to go like 3 or 4 times, up to a maximum of like 6 times. Depends on how big you want the eyes really and the nose. But the more times you go round, the bigger they're going to be. So on the little pumpkins, you probably don't need to go around that many times for the eyes and nose. Otherwise, most of the face is going to be eyes and nose. Get some more orange. Now, you can buy Pom Pom makers, which are like little plastic dies that you can use, and you can reuse hundreds of times, I presume. You build your Pom Pom around it, and then you take it apart, take your Pom Pom out. However, I think using some scrap cardboard and making your own gives you a lot more freedom as to what size you want to make your pom-poms. So we're back to the mouth. Let's just check, this is the mouth, yep, it's all black. And we get a little bit more black wool. But when you're using cardboard and making your own die for your pom-pom, you can make that pom-pom as big or as small as you want. And then it all depends on how much wool you've got and how much patience you've got. So, if you've got a lot of patience, you can sit here threading wool through, making the biggest pom-pom you can make. And if not, you can make one this size. And so that's the end of our black there. And we go back onto orange. And this time we're going to go around and we're going to go over the eyes as well. So right now we're going over the nose again. As we get to the end of here. So we've gone over the nose, and now we're going over the eye. And of course, as you get nearer the end, you're going to find your little hole in the centre gets smaller and smaller. So it's going to get tighter and tighter to pull that wool through. Just be patient and persevere, and you'll get it there. I have faith in you. You can do this. Just go back a little bit, use up what's left of this wool. May as well. There's not really much we can do with that little end of wool, is there? And the more tightly we pack the wool, the puffier our little pom-pom's going to be. There we go. That's what he now looks like. Now, this is the tricky bit, and this bit is possibly the bit that you're most going to want to get an adult to give you a hand. So what you need to do, and I tend to start somewhere at the bottom, is you're going to need to find your cardboard discs, your cardboard donuts in the middle, and you're going to want to get in between the two pieces. This is why I'm saying you might need an adult to help, because you're going to be poking around with a pair of scissors, and what you don't want to do is accidentally cut the wrong thing. So what you want to do is make a gap in the wool. It's best to go somewhere at the back of the face, not where the eyes and nose and mouth are, because what you don't want to do is, disturb the wool where you've put it carefully to form the face. And then you slide the scissors in, and you need to start cutting. And that's why we have the two discs of cardboard in there. So we can slide the scissors in between, and as we start cutting, we cut just the edges of the wool. And this can be especially tricky when you're making a bigger pom-pom, because you're not trying to cut through one piece of wool at a time. You're trying right now to cut through probably about a gazillion strands of wool. So definitely get an adult to give you a hand with this. There we go. And we slide it in again. So what you want to make sure is that as you're cutting, you're not cutting down as far as the wool in the middle. You can see that? So that wool there we need to leave be. We want to make sure that we're just cutting the strands that run around the outside. And this is when we start to see our pumpkin's face. Like I said before, they will all look different. I would be amazed if you can get two of these to look exactly the same. I'd be impressed as well. I'd also be amazed. I don't think any two of mine look anything alike. But then the aim with this isn't necessarily to make them all look exactly the same. If we wanted them all to look the same, then we could probably buy some pumpkins that look the same. But we don't want that, do we? We want Pom Pom pumpkins. There we go. That's the start of our pumpkin's face there, look. So what we do now is we need to get ourselves a piece of green wool or green ribbon. And what I did was measure it against my pumpkin, so I have about, sort of 3 finger width above the pumpkin to there. Fold it over so you've got twice that length. Okay, so I'll just show you that again. So I measure 3 finger widths above the pumpkin, grab it at the base, fold it in half again, and if you're using ribbon, what you want to do is cut it at an angle. And cutting it at an angle means that your ribbon, if it'll focus on it so you can see, means your ribbon won't fray as much. So we take the ribbon and we just cut it at an angle, like so. Okay. Now we take our orange wool, because we want to tie this off with something that isn't going to show too much. And what we do is we separate the cardboard, place your wool in the middle of the pumpkin's face, take your ribbon, place that across the top of his head, and pull your wool down. So we should have the ribbon sticking out the top, his little face, and then we can pull the wool to the back, and we tie one knot. We put it nice and tight, and we tie a second knot. And we want that nice and tight because that is what is going to hold our pumpkin together. Okay, so then we go to the base and we snip off the tail. Okay, so now you want to hold one side, so separate the cardboard like so. You want to hold tight, really tight onto that one side, and then you want to gently pull the cardboard from the other side. There's nothing saying you can't reuse these. If you do want to make a few, then by all means reuse them. Sometimes they will rip and you'll have to cut another one, but by all means, if you can get it off whole, then make another one. So we hold that side now, we carefully just ease it off. There we go. Now this is the fun bit, because now we've got our pumpkin's face, and we just tease it ever so slightly, give it a bit of a fluff. There we go. And then you might want an adult to help you with this as well, depending on how confident you are with the scissors. And then what we do is, you see how there's some long bits, some tufty bits like that, so you just hold him and you just carefully sniff off the longer ones. You don't want to cut the shorter ones, just the longer ones, because we're trying to make him look more spherical. So it's just these longer ones. So if you remember when we were making him and we had the tails where we'd started a new piece of wool, well, that's what these bits are, the longer bits. That's where we've had the tail and we've left it that little bit longer just so it doesn't unravel on us. That's what we're trimming off now, so we can get a nice circular shape. Probably want to do this over a bin as well. I'm doing it over the furniture, but I'll clean it up later. I need a bit more trimming on that side. There we go. And then what I am going to do is I am going to thread these two pieces of ribbon through. See, I've got the little leaves. There's a hole in the centre where I took the plastic flower part out, and I'm just going to thread those through the hole in the middle. Because as we all know, pumpkins tend to have a stalk at the top, and some of them even have leaves. There we go. So we thread that down, and then I'm going to take one of these pieces of ribbon and take it around like that. Then I'm going to thread it back up so it comes up. Oh, I'm off camera, sorry. I'll bring it up here so maybe you can see. So I'll take the one piece around, like so. And I'll take it up. There we go. And that's our pumpkin. What do you think? I hope you like that, and I hope you get a chance to give that a try at home. And whether or not you make a big one or a little one, have a happy Halloween, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!